specific because I think it might be a little bit of an example of some of what we need to do. And where it takes me right away, and what I have been learning in my job representing 3 inner city neighborhoods, grew up on a farm, came to the city, never thought I'd be here, but I'm still here many years later. What I know is that anytime we're talking about creating green jobs, we got to talk about environmental justice. What that means is, in my book, and in the legislature, and I have to say a great ally here in Senator Anderson, she really gets it, and we've been working on this together for a while. What that means is that the people who get the first priority for these green jobs need to be the people who are most impacted by our dirty environment, by our lack of good jobs, and by, as what Carlos said, some of the dirtiest jobs out there. So what I'm learning and listening to and wanting us to do is to make sure that there's a seat at the table, and there is already at the Green Jobs Task Force. Winona LaDuke was invited to participate in the very first meeting, and she talked about the Green Jobs for Brown People movement that she's helping create. There needs to be a place right at the table for the people who are most impacted by these jobs. And then we need to make sure, for example, like we did in Phillips' neighborhood, first of all, we need to know what's in our communities. If we're going to clean up our communities, how do we know what's there, first of all? It is a place where there's going to be some good jobs created to help clean it up, but how do we know what's there? The right to know what the toxic exposures are in our community is the first part of legislation we need for green jobs. There it is. Right to know when the jobs that they're taking expose them to toxins is also a very important part.
Right. That's right.
Whoa! Yes. Are we going to send people? One of the things that came out of the Phillips neighborhood in our looking at this issue is that some of the green jobs we could get would be going into homes and retrofitting them. Okay, but what are people going to run into? Valerie mentioned the lead. There's asbestos in some of our houses. We got arsenic underground. What are people going to be breathing? We need to make sure that the construction industry really protects the people that we get into these good jobs, right? And I trust that to some of our minority contractors, so-called minority contractors, who are represented here, for example, by the American Indian OIC and I think the Summit Academy. I think Bobby Joe's going to help me on that when he gets into the legislature and joins me there. We really need to make sure that those, yes, let's give him a cheer. That those construction jobs, which we know will be good paying, are also safe jobs. We don't want to send people in there and come out with bad lungs.
Thank you.
So we need to do that, and we need to make sure that the pay is good for those jobs. Yes. And how do we get that? How do people get those jobs? They need job training. Right. And that job training, the first priority for the job training for green jobs to me should be to, again, to the people who are most in need of those jobs, who are most impacted, disproportionately impacted, low-income communities of color, indigenous communities. We need to make sure that those are words that are right in any green jobs legislation. I love this invitation to create your Green Jobs for All bill. I'm going to take this seriously. I want to see this when we leave here, and I bet Senator Anderson will too. And one of the things I want to see you all help us put down here is that there will be good, clean, safe jobs, and that they will have a priority for those communities that are most impacted disproportionately by the toxins in our environment.
I'm Karen Clark. I'm a state representative in South Minneapolis, and I represent 3 inner city neighborhoods. Green jobs to me now means jobs that will be environmentally safe and really help bring justice, environmental justice, into our community. We're suffering with a lot of the impacts of a dirty economy and a dirty environment, and so the people who most need to have those jobs are the people who live there, low-income people, people of color, indigenous people. That's the kind of jobs we're ready for right now. People need them to live on and to be healthy and happy, and that's what I'm working very hard for in the state legislature.
All right, hello, my name is Salvador Miranda. I'm from St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota. I grew up here in St. Paul in Minneapolis, and when I started my career, there was jobs, especially at this plant called the 3M plant. What we're looking for in the near future is more jobs at 3M, and they're going to be green jobs. We got a commitment from the St. Paul Port Authority, the St. Paul Mayor, that thousands of green jobs are going into the 3M Center, and young people, like when I was young, can get a job and have a good life. Thank you. Green jobs.
I am the Executive Director of the National Association of Minority Contractors. And let me tell you a little bit, that NAMC is what we call it, just to sort of make sure it's a short topic, or a short title, was established to speak in a unified voice for the fostering of inclusion for people of color and women in the construction industry. We believe that it is a good business decision for companies to diversify their workforce and for the diversification of contracting opportunities for people of color and women. That is a very important notion. Consistent with our mission is that we are promoting best practices. And what are some of those best practices? We are aggressively and strategically encouraging and providing education for our members to develop and build environmentally sensitive green buildings, development, and communities.
Yay.
And we want those developments to make sure that they conserve energy and that they provide durability and create a healthy living environment. Isn't that what we want our structures to really be?
Yes.
As you sit here, for an example, one of our contractors built this building. Well, come on now. When you think of the stadiums, or when you think in terms of Heritage Park, where there's mixed-use housing, you know, for low-income and market-rate housing, our contractors are building those institutions or those developments. Wouldn't it be great for those structures to be environmentally sensitive and for them to conserve energy, and so that it improves the health and welfare of those who are around, so that no one has to worry about their children breathing in or taking in lead paint, for an example.
Right.
So these are the sort of initiatives that we are committed to, and we are committed to, and what they wanted me to convey to you is that we are committed to joining in the creation of a ripple effect, starting with renewal of our neighborhoods, moving towards the revitalization of entire communities within our reach. And please consider NAMC a partner in the promotion of creating green living environments that will lead to sustainable, affordable, and vibrant lifestyles. And I'll end with this because I think it's very important as I stand here that I'm reminded of a statement made by Martin Luther King. When you think in terms of this, and especially as I think in terms of the very challenges that we think about or we face even when we think in terms of promoting green and healthy living. Martin Luther King says that the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands at the time of convenience and comfort, but it is where he stands at the time of challenge and controversy.
Oh yeah!
And if I say nothing else, we are at a crossroads. We have the awesome responsibility to make sure that people understand the importance of protecting Mother Earth. We need people to understand the importance of them taking one step and even making sure that they got the right light bulbs, so that we know that in the end that we all win, and you know what? It improves our quality of life. So please join us, and we are joined with you because we are connected, not just by geography, but we are connected by the human spirit.
Right.
And that human spirit says we must work together, we must strive together, because we must live together. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Minnesota needs green jobs now! 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 Minnesota needs green jobs!